Hey friends, welcome back. Today I want to share a few little tips, a few little kind of nuggets of wisdom that I as a designer utilize when I am doing a landscape design project, specifically when we are talking about those statement trees and shrubs, because let me tell you, I think this is actually the number one mistake I see when I go visit a client. They have a beautiful plant, but it is like crowding the front door or too close to X, Y, Z. So I want to take a step back and let's just walk you through how I am selecting shrubs, how I'm positioning them in my garden, and the methodology I use when I am designing a landscape, including my own. My first tip in terms of how I as a designer navigate proper tree and shrub placement is I always have a laser-like focus on where I'm headed, right? So many times I'm holding a vision for my client. We've had in-depth conversations. I know what their desires are for their landscape. Now in my own garden, that is honestly really, really hard. I am my own worst client. I say it time and time again. But for me, I first established the vision of what I wanted to see down here. And so for today's example, we're going to talk about what we are lovingly referring to as the leaf. The leaf is this beautiful center moment that I want to feel wispy and meadow-like and welcoming in wildlife, right? So that was the vision. That's the overall vision. However, because I live in Seattle and I have months of the year where things are dormant, I knew that I needed evergreen structure to hold the space when I didn't have this just bountiful meadow on full display. So with that in mind, I started kind of my Pinterest search, going through all sorts of books to figure out what I wanted this to look like. So we have the image of where we want to head. That's kind of like step one. Step two is what shape do we want to see that's then going to align with that vision. And this is really important because I don't want us to get carried away at the nursery and forget what we're actually on the hunt for. So for me, I want to introduce you to my selection. And essentially what I've done is I first had this vision of the meadowscape with these big, beautiful globe structures in it. Because I drew this out, because I measured my space, I immediately knew I can't have something in here that gets more than 4 feet tall and wide, because then I lose the impact of this kind of low space that I would be looking out on from La Casita. So immediately I could go into the nursery and think to myself, all right, we are choosing nothing but a plant that is going to be less than 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide. Now, this is where you can get a little bit nuanced. I want you to think about, okay, what is this going to look like in 10 years? And then on top of that, how is this actually properly going to be spaced? Do I want definition between my globe shapes? For me, I do. I want to see that like mounding habit. But if you are kind of veering towards something that's a little bit more hedgy, take that into consideration. If you're choosing a shrub that's going to get 4 feet wide, don't place them 4 feet on center, because then you won't get that singular uniform hedgy look. So I would place them more like 3 feet on center so that they start to marry into one another. So I'm moving you back a little bit because even though I've drawn this out, even though I know exactly what shape I am going for, one other thing is you always need to kind of like verify on site. And this is where you see me do it before. I will place a plant and just kind of see how it fits in to the area around it. Next, let's talk plant placement. So when I'm designing for a client, I'm obviously going to have most everything drawn out. I may not draw out all of the teeny tiny little zhuzhy bits, but I'm going to have all the major players placed. Now, you can design this thing to your heart's content, but if you're working with a designer, they are full on going to tell you when we get on site, we may need to shift a few things to get the most beautiful outcome possible for you. And so I'm going to give myself the same amount of grace in my own garden. I am not going to be so locked into a plan that I forget that a garden is meant to be felt and experienced. And so the next thing I do is I will frequently lay out plants and then I will give it a minute. Now here's where things get really fun. Here's where things get super duper fun. you are now looking at your plant selection from a lot of different perspectives. And some of this is like future time traveling. So when I chose my shrubs, I knew that they were gonna get about 4 by 4. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I said this. This is a beautiful Mugo from my friends at Isley. This is a Mugo called Mops. And there's like 8 million Mugo pines. There's a little something for everybody. But for me, I knew I wanted something that was gonna be a globe shape. When it grew, here's the other cool thing. I wanted it to be ever so slightly irregular. I didn't want this like flat pancake moment. I wanted some real good dimension here. And then lastly, and we'll get into this just a second, I knew that I wanted a plant in this center island that I could control the size. I could control a little bit of that growth habit and that growth rate. And also this gets slightly golden in the winter, which adds an extra little air of dimension. Okay, let's get back to plant placement because I think that this is where a lot of people go wrong. So I want to move you around in this video so you really get a good sense of the shape that I'm establishing and where we're headed with this. And so with my leaf here, what's kind of amazing is you get to enjoy it from so many different sides. Okay, downside, you enjoy it from so many different sides, which adds a layer of complexity when we're talking about plant placement. So I'm gonna do a couple of things. I am full on gonna walk the path. I wanna walk like I'm going down to my car down there. I wanna walk like I'm coming up to the house. And then lastly, I wanna do a loop around the leaf. Oh, and one more for bonus points. Because we're on a hillside, and this is really, really, really important for anyone out there. If you look out your window at any aspect of your garden, I want you to go back inside your house and I want you to look out that window and don't dig in your plant until you have done that. Because I am telling you right now, I've gone to see some clients who are like, I thought that was centered and then it wasn't. Or they'll say, gosh, I thought I wanted it centered, but when I'm inside my house, it actually really irritates me that I can't see out the window. I wish it would have been like just to the side of my living room window. So without much further ado, let's get to walking. I actually kind of like how far back that is. Okay, already I feel like it needs to come back this way. This is so interesting. Ooh, cute, okay. Oh, actually I wanna go all the way up. You know what, I actually feel like I wanna draw out that triangle more. Wow. Hold on. Okay, so it's gonna get 4 feet. This is about 4 feet. That is about 4 feet. Okay, great. So I've already done my walk around. I've walked down the garden. I've walked up the garden. I didn't look from the Casita doors out. Hold on. Funny enough, I think the only thing I'm changing is I'm actually gonna swap this Mugo with the one that's over there because this one is actually the smallest of the 4. Hold on. This actually, you guys, this is actually feeling really, really good. I like that my anchoring moments, here's the deal. When you walk this many different directions, things start to appear to you. So for me, when I have these doors open, I actually feel like this moment straight down the middle, I like that it's unobstructed because this gives me the opportunity to bring in some really fun stuff that I know that I want for this garden. I have a little blue stem grass that's gonna come in. I'm gonna bring in some Amsonia. It has that real thread-like texture and turns vibrant gold. The other thing is I'm bringing in some Manch Aster, and that gives a lot of height and play as well. And so I like that this middle portion still remains grassy. So the next thing, we've drawn it out. We've known exactly what plant we're looking for. And then we have placed everything and double checked our spacing. I want these to maintain a nice globe shape. The only one that slightly concerns me is this trio here, because I do feel like at a certain point, they may start kissing. So here is where the next hint of mine really comes into play. So my next tip in terms of proper placement is know your maintenance plan. And here's what I mean by that. When I'm choosing these Mugo pines, I'm not just choosing them for where they're going to be in 10 years, but I want to choose them because I know I can navigate this size. And for me, that means I want to choose a plant that I can candle prune, that I can control its size by simply coming through and breaking off all the little growth points here. That to me is perfection. Because I'm a professional, I know how to candle prune a little tiny pine. I know that that's an option that I have available. But if you're going to your nursery, this is actually a really important question to ask the people that work there. Before you invest $200, $300, $400 in a substantial tree or a beautiful series of shrubs, ask the person working at the nursery, hey, how do I control the size? What am I going to expect from maintenance? Because I will tell you that is honestly, that is up there with people improperly placing plants within their garden. They just don't know what to expect. They haven't been armed with the knowledge to navigate their garden and actually be a steward of their garden. Because at the end of the day, that really is what we're doing here. Like, we're all garden caretakers and we all want the absolute best for our gardens, including setting our gardens up for a future that isn't rife with maintenance issues and things crowding other plants out. I mean, so from the get-go, if you can place a plant properly and you can think fully through the selection, the life cycle, the maintenance, and the future growth, you are going to be set up for so much success. Last but not least, let's talk about time. You know, the thing about a garden is not finite. We're not rushing to some sort of finish line here. I want us to enjoy the journey. And so for me, did I take an exorbitant amount of time deciding on the perfect Mugo pine for this location? Yeah, I did. Because for me, I want to invest in something that is going to hold the structure of the garden and give it that just like beautiful oomph that I really desire from this space all year long. And so as soon as I have these placed, one thing that I don't regularly get to do on a job site of mine, but I always do in my home garden, is I let it sit. I sit with it for 2, 3, 4 days. Sometimes it'll sit there for a week and I'm okay with that. I am okay just letting it chill for a little bit because I want to experience how it is living in my garden and responding to the beautiful plant life around it. And so, in fact, I will show you another example of something that has been sitting in my garden and another thing that I actually feel really good that I'm just allowing myself to be patient with. I have added yet another, as we're lovingly calling these, Sonic the Hedgehogs. This is a cephalotaxis called hedgehog. And here's the scoop. Here's the scoop. These suckers have been here well over a week and I don't care, because when I am talking about planting something that is like not a permanent fixture, but something that I want to be in my garden for 10, 20 years, a week is a drop in the bucket. A week is nothing when it comes to the beautiful life ahead of you with the shrub or the conifer or the statement tree of your choice. So I think that this is where I have a hard time with social media sometimes, because we have shorts, we have things that are like fast paced. They want the instant transformation. All of us gardeners out there know that gardening, there's like really nothing immediate about it. It is the slowest hobby known to man, and it can quickly get out of hand. However, it is the faith in tomorrow that we have that keeps driving us forward in this gardening journey. So give yourself some grace. Let it hang out for 2 days. Let it hang out for a week. You're gonna be fine, and you're gonna be glad you did, because if you walk past this every day and something isn't right about you, it is a heck of a lot easier to move a pot than it is to dig out a shrub and replant it, especially if it is crowding a structure, it's crowding an egress in and out of your home, or it's kind of awkwardly placed in front of a window that you love to sit at and dream. Friends, this video could easily be an hour, 2 hours long because there's so much nuance to this. But part of this is I just want to take you along on my process of how I'm designing with my friends, how I'm designing for my own garden, and the thought process that goes into each one of these selections that finds its home in my particular landscape. And I want to hopefully share the encouragement that no one expects you to be perfect. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with taking your time to make the right decision and getting the right plant in the right place. Okay, if you have any delightful tips that you as a gardener have learned over the years through trial and error and all of that, I would love to have our community come together in the comments, because I think this is where YouTube has such an opportunity to create this rich community of gardeners who don't gatekeep, who share the secrets. And I'm just tickled that I get to be one of those people that shares all of my secrets with all of you. I'm gonna leave all of my Mugos just where they are for the following week and come on back and we'll see if they make it into the ground in this exact positioning. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, say hello to your garden for me.